What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, and we are live right now. NYP. This is the first quote-unquote debate we've ever had, ever. It's kind of really not a debate. It's really more of a discussion. It's more of a family discussion. I want to set it off with Brother Magnetic, and I want to read some things to the crowd, to the people watching, onlookers, right? First off, you have no single authority. No single authority. While dictionaries and lexicographers play a vital role, there isn't one single person or group that has the ultimate authority to define a word. The meaning evolves organically through community usage. Okay. Now, the next thing, black, how the God defines black. It says B-L-A, Bella, meaning beautiful, as in Layla, Bella, and Ak, A-C-K.
Yes, sir.
As in Akhenaten, the father of monotheism and the 7 liberal arts in science. Black means the beautiful children of Akhenaten.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now you have 5 minutes for your opening statement, and we shall begin.
All right. Peace and blessing to the family. I'm going to go ahead and go into my opening statements regarding blackness. Irregardless of what term you choose to use to describe us, white supremacy will demonize this term. As the books Capitalism and Slavery and The Mismeasurement of Man by Stephen G. Gould demonstrate, black and all of its synonymous terms were anathematized, stigmatized, and demonized. But demonized and made negative to justify our enslavement and their enrichment. This enslavement was parlayed into the wealth of the Western world. And from the 15th century, when slavery took hold, black or Moor was considered as a color, as a people, outside the grace of God. If Moors would have caught themselves black, would they have still been expelled out of Spain? Of course. We know this because other words like swarthy and Melungian are people who populated Europe, and they shared the same fate as the Moor. Even today, we see black licorice is the worst tasting licorice. Why? Because they want you to have a bad taste in your mouth when you think of black. This is his idea about us, how he looks at us, regardless of name, regardless of land, regardless of language. He wants you, me, and us to have a degraded self-image. But at the same time, there's a duality within this definition. Okay, they say black signifies a range of concepts, sophistication, power, elegance, but also darkness, mourning, sometimes evil. We're taking into consideration that every person, place, and thing has positives and negatives associated with it. And depending on the person, they will emphasize one or the other. In rare times, sometimes both. It says its meaning can vary across cultures and contexts, sometimes representing formality, luxury, while in other cases representing the unknown or mystery. So today we, here in this cipher right here, have assumed the power of definition and the power of self-determination. This means that all of us embrace all of these terms, the symbols, the ideologies, and the cultures classified and recognized by the world as black. Every nation is made up of a multiplicity of people with various cultural identities. Black is no exception.
Okay, that's it. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's 5 minutes, right?
Peace.
Peace.
All right. Here we go. Abdullah Bey.
Israel, bring up the screen. Wait till he shares the screen. All right. Why shouldn't we call ourselves black? Why should we not call ourselves black? So we're going to go to the etymology. Etymology is the history, origin, and true meaning of the word, of words. Semantics is how words acquire new meaning. So we're looking at the etymology of the word black from the Indo-European root plague. We see here that the Old English BLECBL with the ligature EA, absolutely dark, absorbing all light of the color of a sort, cold, reconstructed to form the Proto-Germanic lagaz, burn, the Old Norse. So we're looking at the Old Norse form, but if we go down with the Proto-Indo-European root blague, to gleam, to burn, the gleam, the shine, flash, the Greek. So then you have the Greek form, phlegian, to burn, scorch. The Latin, phlegiere, to blaze, glow, burn. And then from the Latin, then you have the Germanic forms. The Germanic forms have the B. So we go back up to the Germanic form, which is Old English. You have the Germanic, you have the Old Norse, the German form, the Old High German form, blah, BLAH, the Swedish form, the Dutch form, blacken, to burn. So black, BLACK, is a modern English form. Modern English, you have Old English, Middle English, and Modern English. Old English is from 400 to 1400, from 400 to 1100. Then Middle English from 1100 to 1400, and Modern English from 1500 to present. So BLACK is a modern English form of the old Germanic or the Indo-European root blague. And this is the etymology, means burn, bright, or shine. So then you have the semantics, where people read in the entry level meaning, the semantics of the word, of how words acquire new meanings. But the true meaning has no negative connotation. That's the connotative meaning, or the semantical meaning. So it doesn't refer to a people, bright or shine. Continue, Israel. Got 2 minutes. The same root produced Middle English Blake, pale, from the Old English black, bright, shining, glittering, pale, the connecting notion being perhaps fire, bright and burn, dark, or perhaps absence of color. According to the Old English Dictionary, Oxford English Dictionary, in Middle English, it is often doubtful whether black, meaning black, dark, or pale, colorless, wine, or livid, and the surname Blake. So this is referring to the connotative meaning. So as it goes through various languages, you have a construction of meanings. So new meanings are developed. So I have 1 minute left. Next slide. So we have here the intensive, the intransitive, become black. Transitive, make black, darken, put a black color. From black, adjective. So black is an adjective if you're looking at grammar. So there we have it there. So I have so thank you, Israel.
All right. So you have 4 minutes each to rebuttal. If there isn't any rebuttal, I would say you have 4 minutes to just build.
Okay, just in common terms, okay? When we deal with electricity, right? When you're about to jump your car, you got to have the ground wire. What color is the ground wire? The ground wire is black. Okay. When we're dealing in the field of martial arts, the highest belt is what? The black belt. The lowest belt, white belt. Dealing in the field of law, judges wear black robes. The only person I ever seen in a white robe is a Klansman. And the two of them might have something in common. In the world of fashion, what color is associated with conservatism? Black. When they tell you dress conservatively, they mean wear a black suit, okay? Mating and dating. The most desired man, they say, is tall, dark, and handsome, okay? Medieval literature. The knight, black knight in shining armor, right? And economics. When your company is in the black, that means you're doing real good. Black Fridays when they make the most money. So what we can see kind of a split, okay? A dualistic aspect of this word black. Sometimes it's used favorably, sometimes it's used non-favorably. Usually when they're referring to people, okay, and people that either would be black or maybe black by another name in another language or another terminology, it's going to be something that's demonic. But when they're using it in a way where they're using it, right, in these different fields, it doesn't represent that. So this tells us something. They're just trying to demonize a people, a particular group, right? Okay. Two opinions of black which demonstrate the schizophrenic nature of white supremacy. So we say white supremacy is normalized insanity. So to be honest with you, they're subject to say anything and everything about you, because this is a man that is completely out of his mind and has normalized this insanity. This insanity is expressed and displayed within the disorganization, the confusion associated with the Western world of languages, particularly in definition and in pronunciation. Example, the place is really called Kana with the K. Europeans could not pronounce Kana, so they say Ghana. And now it's known as what? Ghana on the map. These people, I'm gonna say about the 15th, 16th century is when Europeans, as a massive group of people, not just the nobility, this was the time in which they became literate. Prior to that, most of Europe was functionally illiterate, okay? Even some of the kings and queens were functionally illiterate, and they would have scribes that would read for them. So their definitions of words are very poor. Their rendition of history is always the worst rendition of history, you know, until they come and read our notes, then they can upgrade their stuff. So, you know, we're defining black today. We cannot go back and redefine what they said it meant once upon a time ago and within the etymology, but what we can do is determine its modern use. I'm gonna say peace.
Peace.
Israel, yeah, we can go right to the dictionary, go right to the Bible references. There is a Philip K. Dick. The basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. Those who control the meaning of words control those who must use them. So there's been a manipulation of words, manipulation of meanings, constructive meanings. You have the true meaning, as I said, the etymology. You have the semantical meanings. So we're going to go show here and the Jeremiah, this is the 1599. So this is documentary evidence, 1599 Geneva Bible. Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Blackmore change his skin? I want you to notice the spelling. Because a lot of people just read. They're not reading. They're just pronouncing. They're not reading. They're not analyzing. Black, notice the spelling. Black, more. Black is lowercase. There's a space. More is capitalized. Black is an adjective. More is a proper noun. Notice the spelling. Then you begin later on in the 1600s, you have where they place the A between black and more, and more now becomes lowercase, where it becomes less recognizable. So Blackmore now becomes black or more. where more is less recognizable, as it is more recognizable in the 1599 as well as the 1560 United Bible. So throughout the 1500s, more is recognizable in Black more. But through the 16, 17, 1800s, it's Blackamoor. And Blackamoor is used interchangeably throughout the 15, 1600 with Negro and Ethiopian. Next, Israel. Got 2 more minutes. Next slide. So we see here, all right, Kate. Yes, go to the next one. Next one, we already have it. Calling ourselves Black or indoctrinated under subjugation into falsely thinking we are Black. So we clearly see that throughout the 15, 16, 1700s, Blackamoor, and that was widely used in literature. Continue, Israel. Got 1 more minute. Let's see where we are. But calling ourselves Black is a false claim. Under subjugation, Spain and Portugal classified our people as Negro. France classified as Noir. England as Blacks. You have the 1684, the French applied Code Noir in the Caribbean. In 1724, Code Noir or Black codes in the Louisiana Territory. So Noir is Black in French.
Mm-hmm.
So in Latin, Spanish, Negro is used to identify, to describe inanimate objects. Negro sabata, bato, black shoe. But for human beings, they use what? The proper noun, merino. So merino is used in Spanish to identify people. But to describe objects, Negroes use, translated. Black, Negro sabato, translated to English, black shoe. All right, my time.
All right, Mag. 4 minutes.
Yes, sir.
4 minutes to rebuttal. As far as like the crossfire piece, I don't know if that, even matters. But I want to just stick with the rebuttal, 4 minutes each.
Yeah. So after, I'm gonna say it probably started a little bit before 1492, around the expulsion of Black Moors and Jews from Spain, but the demonization of Black concepts, of Black literature, Black words, Black identities. There was a heavy prevalence of us, particularly within the nobility of Europe. And I mean, we have to think about this for a second. These people, they were from around there and whatnot, but these Moors were coming in from somewhere else, and they were looked at as invaders many times. They were accepted, and because they was fixing the place up better than the people whom lived there. So this was kind of a cultural war, that became racial. Okay. So everything that was Black, associated with Black, I'm gonna say it again, was demonized. All words. I mean, from that point, 1492, and I'm gonna say a little bit before, up until today. So that lots of times when Africa is discussed, because that's associated with Black and original people, it's demonized. It's the dark continent. It's impoverished. There's corruption. I could take a word, malpractice, right? Maleficent, malignant, okay? M-A-L-I. Obviously, they're making a reference to Mali, which was the people whom Spain was at war to get the Western world with, you see? So everything that was considered and coupled with that identity became demonized all the way up until this day. I mean, we could go through all of the terms of Black, and I could show you, and I'm sure you could probably show me some negative press or false history and false ideas and concepts related to these things. So it's not a word that they're mad with. It's an identity that they're mad with. It's a culture of people. It's an ideology. It's a spirit. It's an energy that they're fighting, This spirit, this energy, like Allah, has what? Many names, infinite names, you see? Not just black, not just Moor, not just Negro, not just Moreno, not just Noor. Infinite names to describe this blackness, which is the blackness that began all things. So I would never tell anybody, you need to call yourself this part of black, this terminology, because there's too many things to describe this great thing we call melanin or blackness. Too many great words to describe it. And that's what makes a man original. You see, that he has his own original way of identifying himself, which makes him him. That doesn't mean we don't have some other things in common, that we cannot come to the table as a nation, and stack bricks. That just means that man has his own originality, and that every man, every woman, every person should be given that, their own originality to call themselves and identify themselves by what they want to call themselves. And that's peace.
Peace. All right, Abdullah.
Israel, put up the Constitution, constitutional references. Constitutional references. All right, so we have constitutional, so we have what is known as the national identity or constitutional name or identity or state identity or identity or the sovereign identity of a state. So we see here in a national constitution, National Constitution of Senegal, the sovereign people of Senegal. So Senegal is the national identity or constitutional name. And why that's important in international law, that the Senegal in international law is the name by which the people deal with international relations. It is also the constitutional name is an essential element for the international juristic personality. And why is that? What is the juristic or personality or legal personality? And why is that a key? Because you must have a legal personality so that in order to be among the family of nations and also to do interchange with treaties and acts and multilateral treaties, to send your citizens to establish embassies and consulates, to send your citizens to protect your citizens, deal with nationality and diplomatic relations. You must have an international personality. The foundation of a nation's international personality or constitutional name or state's name is nationality. Nationality is the root of the international personality or constitutional name of a nation state. So we have here once again the people of Senegal. The word people refers to that there is popular sovereignty, that the sovereignty resides with the people. So this is documentary evidence, and you'll see this in many of the constitutions, like the people Republic of China, the people of France, the people of Spain. So there is a universality here. You don't see that with the people of black. That doesn't exist. So we're talking its use in international law. It's dealing with international protection, diplomatic protection, constitutional protection, treaty protections, international relations and interchange, trade and commerce, setting up embassies and consulates. I yield.
All right. Okay, now, Mag, if you have something to build on, you got 4 minutes too. I have some questions myself, but I don't want to interrupt the bill.
Indeed. The Black Roundtable, we deal with diplomacy, we deal with cooperation, we deal with statesmanship, and primarily we're dealing with being able to sit all of our people at the table from all walks of life, from all organizations, from all religious backgrounds, all colors and shades, to be able to, like you said, family, sit at this international table of commerce and trade. Now, if we sit down and we're able to get the whole of our people, so we have a holistic idea at the table, whatever name we decide we want to call ourselves, hey, that's cool. But I think it's more important that we connect culturally, that we connect the culture and remove these divisions. There's in America, there's a budget and there's an agenda to keep us divided. And it has been since the beginning, to keep our organizations divided, to keep our identity divided, you know, to keep our money divided. You keep your money to you, I keep my money to me, he keep his money to him. And, you know, we can't put it together to make something bigger. The Black Roundtable wants to bring all of these ideas, all of these organizations, all of these identities to the table so that when we do come to an international table of commerce, ambassadorship and negotiation, it'll be a holistic group, number one. And, you know, it'll just be what I see a lot of nations that marginalize people, you know, because they don't call themselves this. Okay, and give you an example, Iran. If you're not a Shiite, you might not have that much juice in Iran. You understand what I'm saying? Other Sunni nations, they play the same game. Now, if they were able to bring all the people, the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews and whatnot in Iran to the same table to be able to, you know, sit and agree and build, they would probably get more out of it. I think we have the capability to be able to do this, to sit at the table like this. And I think we'll be stronger if it's a holistic table rather than it just being the Moors or just the nation or just the Comedics or just the Pan-Africanists, you know, because now you have somebody sitting over in the corner that's not being involved at the table of negotiation that the devil can call on. And he's salty because you didn't bring him to the table because he didn't want to call himself a Moor or a Comedic or a Pan-African or a Senegalese or a Ghanaian, you know? So within a nation, this nation that we're putting back together, and y'all, everybody know this is a Black world culture. We say Black because irregardless of what nation that you are in, you have an internationality, right? That connects us. I don't think nobody else really have an internationality like that. Not really. A few people do, but not like us and not as strong as us. That's a strength I'm not willing to give up. And I'm willing to accept that other people want to call themselves by different things. I'm not tripping about that. Water can be called water, can be called aqua, be called mai, has many names, but it still has the same purpose and you're still needed. So, you know, that's how I see it, family. I've had many arguments about name, language, identity, okay? And what I found is that that's something, if a person want to call himself an aardvark, he gonna call himself an aardvark. If a guy wants to identify as a 3-year-old girl, you know what's going on in the world. I don't advocate that, but I'm saying to simplify these things, we got to loosen up a little bit, man. I recognize my brothers that's Moors. I honor the Moorish Science Temple and Noble Drew Ali and everything associated with it. However, that has not been my experience in my walk. I know something about it. I love what they do. I saw what they did at a time that nobody else wanted to do it. Black power, salute to you, you know, but that's not my necessary experience or walk. So if I said it was, that would make me a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I just be Black.
Peace. That was 4 minutes. I have questions, but Abdullah, if you want to build, you can.
Yeah. Israel, bring up Carl Linnaeus, Francois Bonner, the father of the race paradigms. All right, we have the father of the modern race paradigm, 1685. Francois Bonner, New Division of the Earth, whereby he classified the human family with non-nationality names, with non-pedigree names, black, white, red, brown, and yellow. So the concept, the concept of what do you look like? Black or white? Doesn't matter what you call yourself, black, white, red, brown, and yellow. Where did that come from? 1685, Francois Bonner, New Division of the Earth. It was further developed by Carl Linnaeus. Carl Linnaeus, a Swedish naturalist. From 1713 to 1735, his 13 editions, Systema Naturae. Then it's further disbanded continue with the German anthropologist Johann Friedrich Blumenbach in 1752, his book Natural Variety. And so his books, his studies was adopted by many universities and continue. So, and it also continued throughout the 1800s as well as the 1900s. So this structure you see and on applications, Portugal, Brazil uses all five in Portuguese. Brown and yellow, Brazil uses all five in their census. Where did Brazil get that from? Why does Brazil, what's the origin that Brazil, that goes back to 1685, Francois Bonner, new division of Earth. Francois Bonner studied in modern day India for 9 years, where he studied the caste system. So the black, white, red, brown, and yellow is tied to this origin, is the study of the Indian caste system. And he actually applied that to humans. And he called it the new, once again, new division of the earth. Well, what's the old? What's about empires, caliphats, bailiffs, kingdoms, tribes? They're not identified as black, Negro, or colored. So this is so key is what's the origin? I am referring to documentary evidence. I'm for documentary evidence so that the listeners, my focus is the listeners. I want the listeners to be able to, I don't want them to say Abdullah Bey said anything. I don't want them to say Abdullah Bey say anything. If they said Abdullah Bey said anything, I did a bad job. I want them to refer. That's why I'm giving references. I want them to go to references themselves. To say Abdullah Bey said, I did a pissy poor job with this debate. This is why I'm referring to, I'm known for that, presenting documentary evidence. I yield.
All right. Mag, anything? Want to build up on that?
No. Mm-mm.
All right. So I have questions, right? So as you said early on, Abdullah Bey, about the word black, and like if you go back to like one of the first 3 slides, if you will, you made reference of the word black pretty much having like a split, right? Just like the God Mag explained, there's a split, right? Meaning that the word black meant something at a point in history, and then it started to change as time went on.
No, that's not true. I didn't say that. It's Blague.
Blague, okay.
It's Blague, not black. It's Blague. That's the Indo-European root. Because I want the audience to be clear that black, B-L-A-C-K, is modern English. Blague is the Indo-European root, meaning Indo-European root, Indo referring to Sanskrit. And then it was then was transliterated to German, to Greek, Phlegian. Then from Greek to Latin, fligere, flame, fligere, flare. Then is brought into the Germanic languages. That's where you have Blague and black and B-L-A-C-K and block and the Dutch form and the Swedish form and the Old English form. That's the Germanic languages.
Right. So it
right. So I just want to be.
So from Blague, it turned into black over time.
Transliterated. Transliterated. I want the audience to know the linguistic terminology.
Right. So
transliterated into the Germanic languages from the Latin languages.
Okay. So my thing is, when it changed to the Old English language, it became a whole nother meaning to it now, right? So absolutely dark, absorbing light, the color of soot and coal. And then it turns into an adjective. So my question to you is, being that it came from Blague and then it changed form over time, it's controlled, right, by the European. Basically, the European controls the language, controls the people. So my question to you is, at what point in history did it become a bad thing to be black?
All right. We never were black. So that's one. So that's one.
No, I'm saying the word.
No, I'm saying the word. Right. All right. Well, one, that's you're speaking of constructive language, though. So let's go with the mother meaning. the mother meaning always stands. I mean, Europeans create new meanings to suppress the history, origin, and the philosophy, because within the original meanings are the philosophy, the original concepts, the mores, folkways. So when construct through invasion, through you may have a famous poet, all right, that you have the Oxford. There's the book, the movie called The Professor and the Madman. Professor and the Madman. I'm going to explain. In the movie, The Professor and the Madman, you have the development of the Oxford English Dictionary, the Philosophical Society. Queen Elizabeth, she developed the Philosophical Society to develop a dictionary that would rival the Bible. But what they did not do, they left out African languages. They also restricted the time period of the meanings. So keep an eye. So this is orchestrated on how dictionaries are developed. I want people to watch that movie, Professor and the Madman, by Gibbs. What's the name? Israel Gibson. Mel Gibson.
Okay.
Mel Gibson. So through the development of Oxford English Dictionary, and other dictionaries, and how they manipulate, and it was in the Oxford English Dictionary was criticized because they didn't use African languages. They used languages, they used meanings, they restricted the time period of the meanings.
Boom.
So let's look at the development of we just get the finished product. We look at the finished product. No. See, this is not a study that we're not privy to. We just get that finished product. No, let's go into the methodology. Let's look at the methodology of how the Random House was developed, how Funkin' Weldon was developed, how Oxford English developed. Let's look at the methodology. We're at a disadvantage. We're looking at the construction. We're looking at the construction of the modern English of the Bible. Let's go. Let's look at the Bible.
All
now,
right.
in the 1599 Geneva.
Hold on a second, brother. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm using the crossfire minutes for this piece because.
All right.
Okay. All right. So I want to go back to Mag, and I want to ask you this: being that you said that the Black Round Table wants to bring everyone to the table so we can basically present our group to the international world, right?
Indeed.
Now, in order to be a part of the international world, according to what Abdullah Bey said, is that and showed you during the slide with Senegal, in order to be a part of the international world, you have to have a nationality. So how would the Black Round Table deal with having a nationality to bring it to the international world?
When you talk about nationality, and if we're talking about international dealings, family, Black, we're saying already crosses over nationalities, because there are many people of different nation states whom we can consider Black. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a little bit of a different term. Okay, that's a little bit of a different term. So when we're talking about doing trade and commerce, I mean, I already do trade and commerce with people who are overseas and whatnot. Now, this is what I will say. They never asked me about, oh, you have to be this nationality or particular nationality, or you have to claim a nationality to do trade and commerce. They never asked me that. However, people who do not have culture and refinement and do not respect other people's cultures and the laws of other people's cultures and nations, some people will not do trade and commerce with you. That's just what it is. That's why America's having a lot of problems, because America does not have the international true passport, culture, and refinement. You see, these are passports that can open many doors that money and status cannot. Character, good character. Just saying. So, but you know, on top of that, I also wanted to say that, man, what was I saying? The brother made a point. Right. Even though Senegal has, you know, its paperwork right in the white world, Senegal is still a victim of white supremacy. France, in particular. Okay. You said we were talking about Spain, and we were talking about the words and the terminologies and the thoughts and the tropes that came out of 15th century Spain. Anytime you look at a so-called Mexican or a South American that has a bad opinion of you or says Mayato or something, they're bringing something from 15th century Spain, but they're not leaving it in the 15th century. They're bringing it up to today. So rather than just dealing with history, I like to deal with now story. Okay, and the now story says that we have a lot of people that use this term black, identify as black on an international level. We have an international culture. So since we already stated the fact in the beginning that the term changes with use, right? We already stated that. We have the power now, the power of definition, the power of self-determination to redefine this term to make it mean what we need it to mean, irregardless of what they say what it means. Just saying, that's self-determination. That's what Huey P. Newton called the power of definition. You see, if we had said Negro power, colored power, right? I don't think that would have hit. But we said black power, and you know the rest. You see, words, words are very important.
I don't mean to cut you. That's understanding minutes. I want to go back to Brother Abdullah. And before I go back to Brother Abdullah, I just want to address this, right? So we're talking about the international community. So when we're dealing with the international community, there are certain rules and regulations. And those rules and regulations say you have to have a nationality, an alliance with a particular country. Am I right or wrong, Brother Abdullah?
You're correct.
Okay, can you explain that?
All right. Well, this is why I showed as an example. I used Senegal as an example. I could have used any other constitution, but I already got what 20 minutes because we're doing this debate. I don't have, so I use Senegal, but I can use 100 different constitutions. But I don't have the time to do that. And we'll do that one day, Israel. We'll show 100. We'll show 100 different constitutions, Israel. We showed 100 different constitutions with that same pattern. The people off. The people off, the people off, the people off, the people off. All right, 100 constitutions. I wanted to so that we can show the universality of that. And what does that mean? Once again, I'm reiterating the point that it's the constitutional name or national identity or identity of the state. And in order for a nation to do international trade, to deal with, we talk about nation to nation, to deal with international trade, to enter into treaties, they must have a national identity, because the national identity is how they're recognized internationally. Senegal is the national identity. France, Germany, China, People's Republic of China. That is the national identity, which is placed in the national constitution. And that is why that's how they're recognized internationally. I'm just talking, as Ron said, there's rules, there's principles of international law interchange.
Okay, so, let me just say that.
Hold on.
No, we can't have no interruption. Can't have no interruptions.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So there's rules and interchange and commerce and relationships. So the nationality is the foundation, which is connected to the constitutional name, national identity of a nation state. I yield.
All right. Magnetic. Yep.
All of those nation states you named and all the nation states that you can name, the nation state as of this point means nothing. The millionaires and the billionaires and the trillionaires who live in these countries and pay these politicians and pay these lobbies, that's who's running the show. If I come to the table with enough money, people gonna do commerce. And if I come to the table with enough skills and services that they do not have in their country, right? There's something called supply and demand. They're gonna make a way to do business with you. That's how the world works, family. Just saying. They don't give a damn about no your nationality and whatnot. Only nationality they want to see is Benjamins or Grants. No, really. Serious. I done been around the world a few times. I know this and I understand this, you know. Got a passport and whatnot. However, the thing that makes the most way for you and paves your way, okay, culture, yes. But the other thing is money. Ka-ching. That's why red and black need green. But you know, everybody do it how they do it.
All right. Okay. All right. Abdullah.
All right. So Israel put up the grammar for black, the example of Negroes. I'll continue to talk as he brings that up. So on the understanding, once again, the international arena. When you look at that's, I'm going to use Burkina Faso. I'm going to use Burkina Faso. It was called Upper Volta. So Thomas Sankara wanted to have a name that was culturally connected. Burkina Faso. So Ibrahim Traoré is recognized by many nation states as president of Burkina Faso. And because they are standing on a national sovereignty, and yes, they had to do military, but they're making a claim to the sovereignty of Burkina Faso. So that is the Burkinabe is the nationality of the people. Burkina Faso is the constitutional name or national name of the people. They may say they may come out their mouth when they're talking to our people who don't know. They may say black. They may say black power. We're talking about the international relations of Burkina Faso. What is it known as? It's known as Burkina Faso. How they interchange with China as Burkina Faso, interchange with Iran, interchange with Russia as Burkina Faso. They may come out their mouth, loosely and say black. We're talking about internationally. I'm not, so that's where I'm coming from. We talk about the international relations. So I'm giving an example of Burkina Faso, which is a factual example. You may call them black. He might say black. All right. But in dealing with international relations, as he deals with Russia, he's not going to say black. He's not going to say, I'm president of the black nation. I'm coming from how it's used internationally. Peace.
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 Now, Mag, do you have anything else to say behind that?
No, I think we're kind of talking about two different things, and respect. I understand what he's saying, but I think we're kind of talking about two different things, and so respect to what the brother said. He's correct. That's true. That's how business is done. I myself, I'm talking about diplomacy. I'm talking about cooperation amongst us. Okay, and the fact that I'm not going to tell this man who's sitting at the round table, you need to call yourself black, but he want to call himself something else. But I recognize he's one of our people. He recognizes he's one of our people. That's what I'm saying, for the sake of negotiation, for diplomacy, to be able to sit down and merge ties, man, and put this nation back together. Because like I said, a nation is made up of many different ethnicities and different identities. I'm cool with that. Now, if we have to go to the table of negotiation and say we could use any of these particular identities and whatnot, as long as it's right and exact. So I think that's a benefit. The fact that we have a whole bunch of different nations and we're connected to them through blackness, because blackness is connected. You see what I'm saying? Blackness is what connects light. Without light, without blackness, how would light wouldn't have nothing to move through. You see what I'm saying? So blackness connects everything. And that's kind of what I'm building on, fam. I'm trying to, connect that. You might call it more, you might call it nor, you might call it mild, you might call it, like they say in Tigrinya, I think they say tali, different people gonna call it different things, and that's what makes it beautiful, So that's what I'm talking about. That being able to connect, because look at Africa. Look at all the different lines in it. And like you said, brother, they all got a different nation state. There needs to be some unifying glue, right? I think we've kind of shown and proved that, the unifying glue, that we moved a lot of these false names and ideas and concepts out the way to say that we're black, and the rest of the world looks at that. Now we need to do that with the rest of the world before we can get to trade and commerce, Remove the lines of the Berlin Conference that makes this nation that's right next door to it a different, they're a different nationality, but they should understand they're the same people and have the same essence, and they can do trade and commerce based upon that. Just saying.
All right. Now, Brother Abdullah, I don't know if you want to rebuttal that. I have something to say, and then after that, I want to go into the closing statements.
All right. Yeah. You go. So we can go to the closing statement because they got 4 minutes. All right.
All right. So now, as far as, okay, so what Mag is saying is, in order for us to come together as a people, whether you call yourself black, more, whatever, it doesn't matter, but we're dealing with, when we're talking about character, social equality, etc., right? Building as a family, among each other. That's his point.
Indeed.
Brother Abdullah, your point is more dealing with international issues, right? How do we present ourselves as a people to the rest of the world? Am I right or wrong? Absolutely.
And to restore protection, to restore human rights protection,
right.
To function, to exercise our inherent sovereignty, our pre-existing sovereignty, our pre-existing self-determination, and how nationality is integral to the recovery of our lost sovereignty.
That's peace. That's peace. So basically, you two brothers can work hand in hand, really. You brothers can work hand in hand. Magnetic is talking about right in here, with our people, the community, the family piece. And Brother Abdullah, Moors dealing with the international piece. So the Moors can come and go, hey, to the Black Round Table, like, this is the name, this is how we should present ourselves to the international community, to do commerce, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then Mag and the Black Round Table is going, okay, that sounds peace. Then this is what we'll go with. Right. Now, I think that would work with bringing us together, with unifying each other. Any closing statements? I want to go with Mag and then Brother Abdullah.
I love what you just said, family. I love what you just said, because there's a principle within the Coptic Church that we spoke about on the last show. Okay, it's called Tawahedo, and it means the oneness, meaning that there are many ones. Okay, one representing knowledge. Okay, one representing the foundation. When we bring those together, we have a grand foundation and what we call also a supreme magnetic. If we're going to be holistic, if we're going to have holistic thoughts, okay, we have to have the whole of our people there, and they have to bring the whole of what they know, or at least as much as they can, and put it on the table. And we'll have what we call like knowledge Thanksgiving, where everybody learns something new, right? Everybody meets somebody new. And when nations come together, well, let me do it like this. Okay. When people come together, they make families. When families come together, they make communities. When communities come together, they make nations. When nations come together, we make civilizations. I say a civilization because we have between us a common culture, you see that word civil within it, that makes us peacefully be able to do business and commerce, you see. And this is a pretty important part of business and commerce, the diplomacy, the cultural part. I'm sure you've walked into many of our peoples who are back east, who are from Africa, who probably don't want to do business with you for some reason. Maybe they had a bad dealing with somebody that's like us, or vice versa. You know, you see what I'm saying? So we have to smooth some of these things out, and then all the different products that all the Black world need, we make them, or we have them in the different countries. We just have to create a form of diplomacy and a good form of exchange and a positive cultural implications going both ways, you know, to where we can do business and commerce and we can solve this stuff.
Indeed. Now, your 2 minutes is up, brother. I just want to, before we go into Abdullah, I just want to say thank you to creator of the boundless universe. Now, we're going to hold the questions for today because we didn't set it up to have a Q&A. Thank you for the $22. I really appreciate you. But we didn't set this debate up to have any Q&As, brother. Pardon me. I didn't mention that. I didn't even consider that. So if we do this again, I'm going to make sure we at least allow some time for Q&A. But let's go into the closing statements from Abdullah Bey. Peace.
All right. For 33 years, I have taught that Black is not a nationality. I taught 5,000 students in the Kansas City's public school. Chapter 11, my book, Moors and Masonry Part 2. I taught over 1,000 adults at the Temple University Pan-African Studies Community Education Etymology. I am known for teaching Moorish nationality. So it is challenging for me to go in a platform and just hear Black, 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 and not, which means that I'm going to hear Black, 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 and I'm going to keep quiet, where I don't make any efforts. So it becomes one-sided. It becomes one-sided. If I go to a venue or go to a group with Magnetic and I just hear Black, 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 so they're able to say Black, 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 right? So I'm like, well, I'm not going to keep quiet. I'm going to teach our people that we're Moors. I've never kept quiet for 33 years. I've written books. I've lectured. I've traveled. I've lectured in 25 different cities throughout the country. So I'm going to make it very clear. I will not keep quiet. I will not be silent on this because I know the value and importance of nationality. And I know that the Europeans stripped us of our nationality to continue our subjugation. I know that through study. And I presented documentary evidence. So I will not be silent. I will continue to teach Black. And I'm very strong on that. Peace. I will continue to teach that we're not Black and that we're Moors. Peace.
Peace. Peace. All right. My closing statement, I've already basically closed. I already did that. Basically, I can see how Mag and Abdullah can work together. That sounds like my idea sounds like real peace. Like the Black Round Table, focus on the community, building a community. You know, the people right next to us. The Moors deal with international law and how to present our people internationally.
Oh, we have some international projects too, family. It'll reach out and touch you, but right.
All right. On that note, thank you for everybody coming out to watch this debate. This is our first debate. This is the first time I've ever done this. I don't know if I did a good job or not. But everything went smoothly. Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to everybody who showed up this evening. Thanks to Yasril for assisting. Brother Abdullah. Peace to Magnetic and the Black Round Table. Civil letter.
Peace, Black family.
And we are out.
Peace, Moors family. Peace, Moors family.
Peace.
Peace.